My friends, in today's talk, I want to share with you a way of living, or maybe a way of thinking, or simply a positive attitude, whatever you want to call it. And I truly believe that when we start practicing this lifestyle, a lot of unpleasant things, a lot of sadness, a lot of negativity will naturally stay away from your life. This is something I can say with confidence, because I'm not talking about something vague or dreamy here. What I'm about to share with you today is something obvious, something that follows a clear law of life. I rarely speak with this much certainty, but when it comes to something that's a rule, something that's self-evident, or even a truth, then I think it's okay to speak boldly. Seriously. So, my friends, what is it that I feel so confident talking about today? Based on my own observations and life experiences, I believe that one of the most effective ways to eliminate many of the negative issues in our lives is this: don't waste. Now, let me say this first. I'm not talking about don't waste money, because that's too obvious. That's easy to understand. I have a friend who once came to see me with his little child, just a small kid, and in a casual conversation, that child mentioned something he'd been taught about the importance of saving. Why am I bringing up this little detail? Because clearly being careful with money, not wasting it, is something even children are taught. And this show is for adults. So if I start talking about something that obvious, it'd sound a bit strange, wouldn't it? So no, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something else. Who here feels tired? Who feels low on energy? Who feels worn out? And this happens every single day? Does anyone feel that way? A sore back, stiff neck, low energy, constant fatigue. Sound familiar? Do you know why that happens? A friend of mine once told me the same thing. And interestingly, the more that person tried to rest, the more tired they became. The more they lay down, the worse they felt. And in that situation, I said to my friend, don't waste. And just like that, the tiredness was gone. What does that mean? It means the energy inside you, you need to use it. Don't let it sit there. Don't let it get stuck or go unused. We eat a lot, right? But we often don't use up the energy we take in. So try to find ways to use your energy. Don't waste it. Don't let it accumulate. It's actually easy to see. Just look at your belly. If there's fat there, that's the excess that's been piling up. So I told my friend, spend some time using up your energy. Now, when I say things like go exercise or go to the gym, that's really just the surface. That's the branch, not the root. The root is you must find a way to use your energy, not let it go to waste, not let it build up. When you do that, your life starts to flow more smoothly. Things feel lighter, easier. So please, use your energy. Once you start seeing life through that lens, to use, not to waste, not to store up, you'll naturally start looking for ways to move. You'll start walking more, running more, playing sports, being active. You'll find ways to use yourself, and that's the key. And my friends, this doesn't take long. I truly believe that within just 1 or 2 months, if you make it a habit to use up the energy you have, or at least increase the amount of energy you use, then believe me, that constant fatigue, that low energy, that sluggishness, it'll disappear. And honestly, I don't think anyone here wouldn't want that. Really, who wouldn't want that? So please use your energy to feel less tired. Humans are strange, you know. Very strange. Because logically, the less you use something, the longer it should last, right? But if you pay attention, the human body doesn't work that way. It follows a different rule. Use it or lose it. It's a strange mechanism, but it's real. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. Look at your hands. If you stop using them much, they grow weak. We sit too much, right? So our legs and thighs get weak from lack of use. If I asked you to climb 50 steps, you'd already feel tired. Climb another 50 and you'd feel exhausted. Another 100, and some people might even collapse. Totally worn out. But the truth is, we are much stronger than that. It's just that we've gone too long without using our strength. So it weakens. It fades away. So please, start using yourself again. Move. Don't let your body go idle. Don't waste it. You don't need to go extreme or push yourself too hard. Not at all. Just increase gradually, little by little. But please use it. Look back at your life. Whatever is important but underused, whatever part of you is being wasted, take it out and use it. Because if you don't, it will grow weaker and weaker over time. My friends, from the idea we just talked about not wasting your energy, we can take it even further into another area, our thinking, our mindset. We have to use that too, because it's easy to spot people who don't think much, who rarely challenge their minds. You can tell right away when they face a problem, they become overwhelmed, overloaded, stressed out, and they just want to run away from it. You see this all the time. For example, someone gets stuck in a difficult situation. But have you ever wondered, why are they stuck? Because not everyone gets stuck in the same situation. Some people handle it just fine. Some find solutions while others just hit a wall and can't think of anything at all. So we can roughly conclude that one person's mental strength is solid while the other's is weak. And why is it weak? Do you know? In many cases, when our brain feels weak, when our thinking feels sluggish, it's because we haven't really used it for a long time. We haven't intentionally exercised our mind on our own personal problems, and that's when we get stuck. You see, at work, you rarely feel stuck, right? Especially with tasks assigned to you, even the hard ones. You might be a programmer and you get an extremely difficult problem to solve. Super complex. But you'll figure it out. Maybe not in a day, maybe not in 2, but 5 days, 10 days, however long it takes, you'll get there. Even though the problem is complicated, you still find a way. Now let me ask you, why are you able to solve it? Because you're using your thinking power in that area. You've spent years pushing your brain to think about those kinds of problems, so your inner strength in that field is powerful. But then, when it comes to something like a recurring argument at home, something that keeps coming up again and again, month after month, you just let it slide. And when it comes up again, you say, "Ugh, I don't even want to think about it anymore. I'm tired of it." That's actually a sign of helplessness. And what's behind that helplessness? It's because you haven't been using your mental strength in that area. You've been avoiding it. You've been running away instead of facing and solving it. And over time, that avoidance turns into fear. You start to feel haunted by it. It begins to control you. It starts to dominate your mind. And at some point, without realizing it, you've become smaller than the problem itself. That's the danger, my friends. So first, I want you to know this. Your mental capacity is huge. You can solve your problems, but you have to use it. Don't waste it. That's the first point. And the second point, if you leave it unused for too long, it will grow weak. Whatever area of life you stop exercising your thinking in, you'll face both issues I just mentioned: weakness and eventually complete loss of ability. If you leave something idle long enough, it simply stops working. You can see that everywhere. So one of the key secrets of people who rise up in life, and you've probably heard me talk about this a lot recently, is very simple. Keep solving problems. Force yourself to think. The more you do that, the stronger you become. And here's the positive side of this same mechanism, the beautiful reverse of it. If not using it makes it weak, then using it makes it stronger. The more you think, the more familiar and confident you become. And that confidence, that's the ultimate reward. So, life is not about constantly seeking comfort, because while comfort is necessary to some extent, yes, it's important. At a broader level, too much comfort is actually harmful. It stops you from growing. Comfort is great in moderation. For example, 8 hours of comfortable sleep is wonderful. That's healthy. But if you spend your whole day chasing comfort, wanting everything to be easy, smooth, effortless, if you refuse to face challenges, refuse to think hard, refuse to engage your mind, to struggle, to push through, then, my friends, that kind of comfort becomes dangerous because it prevents growth. And if you live in that kind of comfort for too long, you'll start to see something. You'll slowly go downhill. You'll begin to lose your ability to think. You'll waste your most valuable asset, your mind, and it will keep declining little by little, until one day you find yourself unable to think clearly anymore. Every problem seems impossible to solve, and honestly, if you look around, you'll probably see this happening. You'll see people who can't solve any personal issues in their lives, not even the smallest ones, because they just can't think anymore. Whenever they try, they feel pain. They feel stuck. They get stressed. Their whole body tenses up. Of course, I'm not talking about medical conditions here, but clearly you can see that many of these cases didn't start out that way. I've met people like that, university graduates, educated individuals, smart people, who ended up that way simply because they stopped using their minds. In those cases, I can tell you with certainty, their brains used to handle very complex things. They've taken midterms, finals, written theses, dissertations, and passed graduation exams, right? They weren't bad at all. It's just that their superpower, that amazing intelligence, that incredible mental ability, hasn't been used in a certain field or area for a long time. They kept neglecting it, little by little, until one day, they simply couldn't think about those things anymore. I once met a couple, both very intelligent, well-educated people. The wife had a PhD and the husband had a bachelor's degree, but he was a company manager. So the wife had the higher academic level, while the husband had the higher professional position. That means their thinking, their intellect was not bad. In fact, it was excellent, exceptional even. When I talked to them, it was obvious they were both incredibly smart, rational, and insightful. Their understanding of things, I'd call it top tier. Truly impressive. But they had issues in their family. They clashed a lot. Even during happy occasions, they could start an argument right in the middle of a joyful event. So clearly, the problem was that they had lost the ability to think about their conflicts. They'd given up on trying to communicate or reconcile, and that's when you realize even two intelligent, highly educated people can be completely powerless when it comes to communication. And the reason isn't that they're incapable, and not at all. It's simply that they no longer want to solve the problem. They stopped putting mental effort into understanding and resolving it. They stopped being willing to face it. And so, their ability in that area got weaker and weaker. Until now, it's gone. They can't even think productively about their marriage issues anymore. So what happens? They ignore it, pretending it's fine. That's the only way they feel at peace. But if you look deeper, you'll see the truth. This is a ticking time bomb. That day I told them, no matter what, both of you need to learn how to communicate again. Use your incredible intelligence to analyze and study family communication. You can take a class, read about it, or at least start asking yourself, how can I stay calm when my partner says something hurtful? Ask that question, and use your intellect to work on it day by day. Because if you do that, your mental strength in that area will grow again, and one day those words that used to hurt won't trigger you anymore. You'll stop reacting with anger. You'll face conflicts calmly with composure and strength. You'll become bigger than the problem. You'll be able to control it. But if you don't, it's only going to get worse. It'll even go into the negative, so to speak. Until one day, just looking at that person's face will irritate you. At first, you might still talk, still love each other, still share storms and struggles together. Then the arguments start. Constant, tiring. You get sick of it. Then comes silence, emotional distance, and eventually just seeing their face frustrates you. You start dreading the thought of being around them. So building your mental strength back up in that area, that's your life's work. Don't ignore it. Don't waste it. Because the law of life is simple. If you neglect it, if you waste it, it gets weaker. And one day it hits zero. Now you see, I've given you 3 examples. Health, the mind, and family. And you can clearly see how this principle shows up everywhere. Even now, I notice this in many young people. When I ask them to focus, it's tough. I've told this story before. I'd hand someone a book, a normal-sized book, decent font, not too hard to read. I'd say, just focus. How many pages can you read? And most of them couldn't focus for long. I've done this experiment many times, like with Gen Z students, fresh graduates, people around 20 years old. This isn't just 1 or 2 cases. It's not a scientific study, of course, but it's enough to show a pattern, a personal observation you can trust. And the result? Most couldn't stay focused. After 3, 4, maybe 5 pages, they started fidgeting, distracted. Which means their attention span has been left unused for too long. It's gotten weak. And if they're not careful, one day their ability to focus might shrink to just a few seconds. And that would be a real disaster, because focus is essential for a clear mind, for intelligence, for life itself. There's still so much in this world waiting for us to solve. And among all the things we must deal with, some require deep, sustained concentration. Now, in my little experiment, when I had them read, I was sitting there watching them. So they already felt the pressure of being observed. Even then, focus was a problem. So imagine if they were alone in a room without anyone watching. How bad do you think their concentration would be then? So, in the end, the point of this whole talk is this. There's a fundamental law in life. We've been given so many gifts, mental gifts, physical gifts, and we are responsible for taking care of them. But here's the interesting part about being human. To take care doesn't mean to lock them away in a box like lifeless objects. That's not how we work. Our system, like our nature, requires use. We have to use what we're given, at least to a moderate level. Of course, don't overuse it to exhaustion or burnout. It'll fight back. But honestly, very few people ever reach that extreme. Most people, I find, just waste their gifts by not using them at all. Because we're busy with jobs, responsibilities, daily life, we tell ourselves we don't have time for the other parts of our being. So really, burnout isn't the common problem. Waste is. Still, I want to remind you, the safest way to live is to keep using your energy, your mind, your gifts, steadily, somewhere between moderate and above average effort. That's how you make the most of what life has given you. So now, let's put this into action. If you're someone who doesn't move much, find a reason to move. If you rarely think about your life, find something to think about. Practice living with a notebook and a pen. Sit quietly and reflect on your life. Practice asking questions. Practice finding your own answers. Practice being your own advisor. Practice being your own guide, your own angel of wisdom. And trust me, your life will only go upward from there. Never down. Remember this. Use it or lose it. Keep trying, my friends.